What is momentum? Momentum is a property of moving objects and is defined as the product of an object's mass and its velocity. How is momentum calculated? Momentum P is calculated using the formula P equals mv, where m is the mass of the object and v is its velocity. What is conservation of momentum? Conservation of momentum states that the total momentum of a closed system remains constant if no external forces act on it. When does conservation of momentum apply? Conservation of momentum applies in situations where there are no external forces acting on the system, such as collisions or explosions. What is the law of conservation of momentum? The law of conservation of momentum states that the total momentum of a system before a collision or explosion is equal to the total momentum after the event, provided no external forces are present. How is conservation of momentum used in analyzing collisions? Conservation of momentum is used to determine the velocities of objects before and after collisions, allowing for predictions of outcomes. What is an elastic collision? An elastic collision is a collision where both kinetic energy and momentum are conserved. How does kinetic energy relate to momentum? Kinetic energy is the energy an object possesses due to its motion and is related to momentum through the equation K equals half mv²2. What is potential energy? Potential energy is the energy an object has due to its position or configuration in a force field, such as gravitational or electric potential energy. How does potential energy relate to kinetic energy? Potential energy can be converted into kinetic energy and vice versa, as in the case of an object falling under gravity. How does the conservation of momentum apply to explosions? In an explosion, the total momentum of the system before the explosion is equal to the total momentum after the explosion, even though the individual momentum may change direction. Can momentum be negative? Yes, momentum can be negative if an object is moving in the opposite direction to the chosen positive direction. What is the difference between momentum and kinetic energy? Momentum is a vector quantity that depends on both mass and velocity, while kinetic energy is a scalar quantity that depends only on mass and the square of velocity. What is an inelastic collision? An inelastic collision is a collision where kinetic energy is not conserved, typically resulting in deformation or the release of thermal energy. How does momentum conservation apply to rocket propulsion? In rocket propulsion, momentum conservation is seen as the principle that for every action, exhaustion of gases, there is an equal and opposite reaction, propulsion of the rocket. Can momentum be transferred without the transfer of kinetic energy? Yes, momentum can be transferred without the transfer of kinetic energy, such as in elastic collisions where the direction of motion changes but the speed remains constant. How does momentum conservation relate to Newton's third law of motion? Momentum conservation is closely related to Newton's third law, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.